Next time you have a bag up there, call me, I'll come down. Buy a whole bag.
Where do they get, where do
Because
they
for
have
me
those?
alone, I can't
Do
waste
they have them at our
the
Walmart?
whole bag. Well, I think I got these honey mustard at either Costco or Sam's, because they're a little
Okay.
cheaper, because they're expensive.
It is 5:31. I'd like to bring this work session meeting to order. And Candace, would you do our roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Nordfeld,
Here?
Councilmember, sorry,
Stevens.
Stevens,
Yes.
Mayor Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Beal,
Here.
and Councilmember Perry is absent. Oh, no, there he is.
No?
Say
Just
here.
in time.
You can just say here, she just called your name, Chad.
Here.
Okay, agenda review. Any questions on the agenda, council members? We are taking off the agenda the item number 4 under consent items. Item number 4 is going to be removed from the agenda.
Septic update.
Yeah. We'll do it at another time, but we're not quite there prepared yet.
The septic tank.
Yes.
update.
Yes.
That was kind of a messy item at the end.
It's crappy.
Guys.
The power's out. We're feeling a little punchy. That's a good word for it. Any questions? Any questions about the lot split, conditional use permit, rezone, warrant register, city council meeting minutes?
I had one too. It sounded like Chad did. too.
Yeah, I do too. On the, want me to ask now?
Sure.
I'm on the second one, or on the rezoning one. On the proposal to rezone it. You know which one I'm talking about, 496 west, 100 south.
Yep.
From RA to,
Is there any way, I'm just kind of talking out loud, but if we approve that, but is there any, I'm concerned. I haven't heard this whole approval thing, but I would really like to see that lot cleaned up before we give them approval. But that's my view, because it's clear full of everything you can imagine, and if they want to do upgrades, my concern is that it needs to be cleaned up before approval, but I might be ahead of myself.
Megan?
That is the intention. He, it's just applying for the zone change now and will apply for the zoning permit later. But I believe he intends to build like a fourplex there, so the property will be cleaned up. When our neighbors came, when we had the public hearing, they didn't necessarily love the R3, but it's in line with the general plan, but they were happy to see that something else besides what's there now will, it'll be cleaned up.
instead of the, what's on the lot
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that was what my.
So that, obviously, they're not doing any work. They won't be able to do, they had stopped to apply for a zoning permit. So they'll have to clean it up at that point, so.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
What was planning and zoning's recommendation on those two?
I did say that it was.
On the rezone, they approved it unanimously.
Oh, there's the. Is all of this, I'm sure it's needed, I'm not saying that. But this is a lot of electrical supplies to the tune of like 40,000. On the warrant register. I'll just show it to you. Because it's transformers and things like that, which I know are needed, maybe it's just all come at once.
Yeah, so power supplies, I don't know exactly what all those projects are for. I do know that there's some materials in there to carry the line to the deep. So there's a section of that in there. And beyond
That,
that,
yeah.
I don't know what specific projects Clear has those.
Well, that makes sense.
Cause I'm here, I don't know, cut in the
Well, I mean-
conversation.
Just stay there a minute,
Hey,
because Anthony and Chad are looking.
I know. Well, mine was a little bit more on this other one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So with our free market, we're not gonna block anybody from coming in with another car wash, right? I mean, if we got an application and met the criteria, we would be obligated to approve it. Similarly, and I don't wanna cast Mr. Jimenez in that light because I so appreciate the great work he's done and his daughter is friends with my daughter and those types of things. So it's not a personal thing. But when I saw more zoning things, I knew it was gonna be Antonio. And there is no restriction in terms of if he fits, like, I mean, he's doing great work, right? You know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah.
It seems like half of the things that are coming to P and Z are connected somehow to him and his work. We're not worried about the number of applications and the number of subdivisions sought, right?
We welcome them.
Cause he's doing great work. I just thought he's keeping us busy.
Yes, he is.
And that's just a statement, not a criticism, but just,
But I'm glad it's Antonio keeping us busy.
Okay.
He's good to work with.
The general standard, council member, is that in zoning, your zoning districts are living, right? Your general plan is advisory in the sense that you have this is what we want the community to look like in the future. But if there is a prevailing public interest or good cause, we can amend the zoning map at any time.
Okay.
It is up to the council as a legislative act to determine what that good cause is and whether this meets that low standard. But when it comes to rezones and subdivision, those are really the only two things that you get.
okay. Cause as I was reading through it, a couple days ago, maybe just yesterday, I just thought, you know, as long as the Planning and Zoning Commission or the board has done their part, a lot of times I'm kind of checking things, but I'm not looking, I just want to make sure that I'm looking at what I need to and not out here in the weeds. So,
We do have the ability to not approve a rezone. That's up to us. It's not that we,
But it can't be arbitrary.
no.
if they don't meet the
But-
criteria, if they don't,
They probably
No,
wouldn't
there's
recommend it for
rezone,
planning and zoning.
rezone, there's not a
oh,
criteria
oh,
that,
The
You know.
criteria is that it fits the goals and objectives of the general plan.
yeah.
That's what's written in code, is that if you approve a rezone, it has to comply with the general plan.
We're talking
There is
rezone.
nothing that says you have to approve it or you have to deny it, like, that's a legislative act, and you get full discretion over whether you approve that or not. All you need is a reasonable basis to make your decision, and it will stand, and the judge will uphold it.
So like a 6-story office building and the neighbors have a lot of concerns and that doesn't fit our master plan and that's not something that we don't just have to blanket approve any proposal that comes forward. Because when we have subdivisions for new housing developments, for example, we're looking at access as we did a few months ago.
Well, that-
You know,
There's a difference between subdivisions and rezoning.
Yeah.
Rezoning is a legislative act that you have full discretion over the zone and what goes into that zone. The uses within that zone.
Industrial.
Yeah.
So
On the
it's-
other hand, a subdivision is an administrative act that has certain rules and criteria, and if you meet that rules and criteria, now legislatively, the council gets to set what those rules are within the bounds that the state gives you. And you're gonna get some stuff on that later this year. But you get to set the policy of what subdivisions look like within the city. But if somebody meets the terms of those policies, then the planning commission and city council is obligated to approve that
And I
subdivision.
think just working in those two worlds, kind of new for me still this year.
Yeah.
They felt a little different. It felt different when we were talking Temple Cove subdivision. Is that what it's called? or potentially, whatever, and this rezoning thing, so that's helpful. Yeah. That we're not obligated.
If you're making rules, you can make whatever rules you want. You don't have to approve, you don't have to, right, you can approve with conditions, you can reject, you can do all that, as long as you're making rules. You're following the rules. Once they're in place, you have to follow them.
If they comply with the rules that we've made already.
And just to give you the preview, state is mandating that we change this, that subdivisions do not come before the city council anymore,
Starting January first.
starting January first.
It's following the rules.
That's-
It won't come to the council.
Thanks, sorry for the.
No, you're welcome. That's what we're here for.
However, I don't need an answer on this, but I was intrigued with Track-a-Beast for the animal control. That sounds exciting.
Any other questions, council members? Okay, just to give you a little bit of an update, we've got some time. At about 4:50 this afternoon,
455 is.
4:55, we received notification from several business owners and then Corey that the voltage in our power supply was substandard, which has a tendency to burn up very expensive equipment as it tries to compensate for low voltage. And consequently, we made a decision to shut the power grid down in Ephraim to protect the city from any damages, any lawsuits. We sent out a Yaqafy notification. We put it on our social media.
That came in at 449.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And in fact, we held back the
We
shutting
didn't
the
turn the
power
power
off so
off
we
for
could
like
get it.
5 minutes so we could get that out.
So that's what's going on. We're not sure when power will be fully restored. It is a Rocky Mountain Power problem. It's on their side of the line. And so we're hoping not more than 2 hours. And if it's more than 2 hours,
It's just us, just Ephraim.
well, no,
Because it's the Rocky Mountain Power side, I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm speaking out
no,
of turn.
we're fine.
Because it's the Rocky Mountain Power side, when we talked to Manti, they were unaware of the low voltage. To be clear, we made a decision to be very cautious and err on the side of caution. Other cities in the county are likely facing the same issue. And they get to make their own decisions as to what they do with the information they got.
Really hard for Manti when it's county fair
Yeah,
and they've got all the rides at the fairground and
yeah.
Are they gonna maybe give us an update? Is this gonna happen?
Yeah, seems like we can be held hostage by Rocky Mountain. What do we need to do to?
Rocky Mountain wants to raise their power.
Well, can I tell you what?
Buy a generator.
That's exactly it.
I mean, as a city.
That natural gas power plant that Corey's been talking about, that's why he wants it. That's because we can generate our own power and help offset some of these types of issues because we are less reliant on Rocky Mountain Power. Is that, I'm okay in that. And, that may become more of a priority for us at the city administration to push for that type of purchase.
How much is a nuclear reactor?
Well,
You don't have 10 years to get that.
we were on the path to get one.
Yes,
Well, that would have worked, but
The thing is too, is it's Rocky Mountain, but California, we can't rely on the power plant anymore, because it's basically shut down. And California's having a lot of problems, so I think this power thing's gonna be.
Well, and to that point, Councilmember, this is why we've diversified our portfolio. We get power from like 18 or 25 different sources. Just for this reason that we can, in the conglomerate, we are able to, if one goes down, we're not totally down because we're not reliant just on one thing. But what we are reliant on is the transmission line that is owned by Rocky Mountain Power coming in. So if they have an issue on their side, we can't control that, which is why the natural gas power plant idea being local, we would not be subject to those types of things.
Yeah, I just, I think California is really putting a lot of, this is just me, a lot of pressure on all these other power sources. Because they've cut a lot of their sources out.
Mhm.
Now they're putting pressure on these other ones to get them resources, and then that challenges us to get more too. But this, with Rocky Mountain, is to your point, we need to look into the gas.
I think Rocky Mountain, I would not quote this, but I had heard they wanted to raise their power rates by about 30%.
Yes.
In fact, they have their first hearing today.
Lord,
How are you? How are you?
Well, okay, there being no more, work meeting business, I'm gonna call a sauntering break until 6 PM and we start with the business meeting.
Boy, that's a first.
regularly scheduled business meeting. Like to call that to order. We'd like to have a pledge of allegiance by Jeff Jensen and then our opening prayer by Anthony Gill.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to gather as residents of this great city, and this city council meeting. We're grateful, Heavenly Father, for the freedoms we enjoy in this great country.